Okay, so this is a great video here that I want to react to of Cynthia G's. Not too bad of a video that she got going on here. Oh, why does she have to have all this? I'm sorry.
Who said that he had the 7 children by 7 baby mamas. And if y'all don't remember that situation, you'll see the video tagged at the end of this video. But listen, y'all, this bandit, after making that video saying that he got 7 kids and 7 babies mama and ain't responsible for none of them.
I got 7 kids and 7 baby mamas. Now, for the past few days, I've been going live, telling my story, speaking my truth. And a lot of women having an issue calling me a deadbeat because I tell them I was being irresponsible, yet not wearing protection. But I always tell these women that I got pregnant that I do not want to be a father to these children. And I offer to pay for the abortion. Majority of times, they'll either take the abortion or they'll take a plan B. But only these 7 have kept these children.
Sidebar, I told y'all how these bandits feel about these kids. So while y'all are over here dedicated to having these black children that nobody wants but you, these bandits are sitting up on online platforms talking about how much they don't want their children and how much they've encouraged women to terminate pregnancies, but y'all just won't do it. This bandit literally sat here going on a YouTube tour on many different platforms, relishing in the attention he was getting as a result of his degeneracy, milking the fact that he has 7 babies mamas by 7 women. Now, he had been on multiple black male channels in which I told y'all the bandits like this represent the community. You don't have a community where the absentee father rate is higher than in any other community, and it's just because there's a minority of black men who engage in that behavior. No, this is an epidemic in our community. The bandits who don't have children have this mindset, and the bandits who do have children have this mindset. The bandits who marry black women and date black women and procreate with black women have this mentality, and the ones who date out and divest themselves to their preferences have this pathology. And that is why we see, even with the passport struggle bandits, them creating single mothers and an absentee father rate everywhere. The only thing that's really increasing as a product of them being able to take their raggedy passports and go out of the country or go to different groups of women is the rate of single motherhood in those groups. So when black women sit up here and want to tell me that this is a minority of black men, I'm really looking at y'all with the side eye, because at the end of the day, there's just no way that this could be the minority of black men. And I understand that most black women live in a fantasy world, especially the black male worshipers, in which they are seeing black men through the lenses of what they want them to be, not who they are. However, at the end of the day, this is literally what they're doing. They don't value children, they don't value fatherhood, they don't value families, and they are showing it. They're showing it to the world. It's like I said in my last video, women of no color have only been with black men for about 60 years in modern history. Since the inception of this country and walking off the plantation, black men haven't really had access to women of no color.
I think, sweetie, you need to look up Melanesian people for that one. There's a lot of black Americans. There's a lot of white women who were with black men and had children. This is a big population of the free people of color during slavery. So, yeah, there have been several people who, it's a whole group of people basically who are the product of white women and black men. Now, the thing is, these people were treated better than people who were the product of specifically black women and white men, and those were the descendants of slaves, basically. They stayed enslaved. But women who were white or mixed, who had children, and so forth, no matter who it was with, specifically have free children of color, basically. So it could be a white person, white woman with a black man, could be a mixed woman with a white mother who was with a black man or a white man, doesn't matter. The children would be free. So yeah, there is a history of that lineage and that history of the union of a white woman and a black man. Anyway,
continue. But we know that they fought for access to women of no color via the Supreme Court, and they did that before Loving versus Virginia. In fact, 2 of those cases were used as precedents in order for Richard Loving to win his case. So they had always been looking for access to these women even during the civil rights. That is why they engaged in the civil rights, is for access to these women. And since they've had legal access to them, it has only taken women of no color 59 years to realize who these bandits are. The tables have turned on them. The tables turn. What goes around comes back around. Dust and all. And since bandits have been able to have legal access to these women, they turned them into single mothers. Now they're sitting up on social media platforms talking about how they got the same black men. So everybody sees what these bandits are about, except for a large percentage of black women in the community. So when we look at the absentee father rate and the amount of black children who are abandoned, just understand that's a product of these bandits and this dusty cycle that black women like to perpetuate. If you've been considering homeschooling...
Yeah, I kind of think, though, I never get this kind of argument, because it's kind of weird to me, because it's like, but absentee fatherhood for black American men was not at an all-time high between the Jim Crow days. So between like 1865, when the slaves were freed, and the civil rights era in the 1960s, there was not that huge of a problem with black absentee fatherhood. So I don't really get why you guys say that there is, or that there was, because I don't really think that's true. I think it's just the past 60 years that's been more of a problem. Now, plenty of people say there are different reasons for this, specifically having to do with the welfare system and different patterns of black families, basically. Different practices of black families. But specifically, I don't really think it's specifically that black men are just absent. Even though if it was throughout history, you could say that was maybe more familial because of the slave history of black Americans, but that's not even true, because during the Jim Crow days, they weren't absent. Anyway,
continue. Feel your child is not thriving in public school? Consider the Zyx Institute. This is a STEM-based Afro-centered educational program for Black youth. Children can attend daily classes online or in the classroom at one of their 2 New York-based facilities. You can also make a tax-deductible donation to this nonprofit organization using PayPal, or you can donate via GoFundMe using the links in the description box. So go to thezyxinstitute.org and enroll your child today. And the reason I say that black women like to perpetuate this cycle is because there is a failure here to realize what circumstances and environment we're choosing to birth children in. You have these bandits who are openly telling you that they don't want the children, they don't value family, they don't value marriage, they don't value the stable environment that's necessary in order to rear children in. Yet generation after generation after generation, black women have continued to bring children into this environment. And it's like I said on my live stream, even animals are very selective about the environment in which they choose to birth offspring in. And so I know that if an animal who has a lesser intellectual capacity can understand the importance of selecting certain environments to birth children in, then I know that Black women can as well. What's going on here is that Black women have an obsession with their own Blackness. This is not something that your male offspring shares with you. While you are embracing and wallowing in the vanity of your Blackness, they are rejecting the Blackness. They don't want to be created, and you are still creating them in an environment where the males have not stepped up to the mantle of manhood. They don't bow.
I don't think that's it. I think it's more so the environment that Black women choose to basically rear their children in, and basically they create what they created, basically. So we get that Black men come from Black women, right? You're saying that there's absent fatherhood in the Black community. Then who's raising the children? You're trying to claim Black women are, even though there is a trend where it's now more the grandparents than anybody because they're both absent. But just for the sake of taking what you're saying, basically, it's absent fathers, right? So then it's Black mothers who are raising these children and creating the Black man as he is. Well, there might be two reasons why you find that Black men are not measuring up. One, because they're raising them to not measure up. Two, because they are specifically having a situation where there's a lot of hate. There's not a lot of love. And if there's a lot of hate, then basically Black men are taught to hate themselves because maybe the Black woman doesn't love herself. Maybe the Black woman doesn't love her children. Maybe that's why they hate themselves. You know. And so then they do not want to reproduce themselves because they don't like themselves, because they were taught to hate themselves by their Black mothers. I mean, it's kind of obvious logic here, because, I mean, if that's the only one raising them, then you would point to the person who's raising them, which is Black women. And, you know, this is why in the divested sector, and I know this, she's not divested, I'm not saying that. I'm saying in the divested sector, which I hang out in a lot of the time. I watch their content a lot of the time. You can find that many of the time they talk about the mammies, the Black women, the mammies basically, who raise Black men into the monsters they become, basically, because the Black mammy is the one who created it. And they're the ones at fault because they're a mess, basically. They don't know how to raise children. They don't know how to make a family, as you're specifically saying. They have a problem with creating a good family environment for their children, and then wonder why their children have basically become a menace to society, basically. And this is not talking about what kind of husband a Black man is, in my opinion. It's more so the violence, the crime, things like that. You know, not being able to live peaceably with these type of people. And it starts back at the home. Yes, it does. It starts back with their mothers who didn't raise them well. That's all I have to say on that. Continue.
Family structures. They don't value their children. They will abandon their children just as fast as they'll toe tag them. And that's why we see the behavior escalating, because Black women don't understand that there is something that you can do here. No God is about to descend from the sky when they've already bestowed upon you all the power that you need. The only thing that you are lacking is the discernment or the care to birth your children in safe environments. And this is just not one of them. So when you sit there and complain about the system of white supremacy that targets your sons, just know that you are choosing to birth them in said system, knowing that it targets your son. And you should really stop doing that. But I digress. Since Black men have had access to women of no color, they have...
I don't really think there's such a thing as white supremacy system. against black people. I think that black people use this as an excuse because it's a way to absolve themselves from any criticism, basically, but they don't actually really have any invisible system against them. Not black men, not black women. I don't think either have any system that's against them. I think it's just a situation where people make that up in their heads, basically. Maybe because, it's hard to have accountability sometimes. It's easier to coddle yourself. It's easier to have a situation where you are specifically trying to say, woe is me, poor me, and have people feel sorry for you. But that doesn't fix your situation. Anyway, continue.
And through them caused them to become single mothers, and now they're sitting up on public platforms complaining that they got the same black man. It just is what it is. And you're really going to hear all groups of women complaining about the same black man because these bandits know who they are and they know that they're unwilling to change. And despite the fact that they're unwilling to change, most black women are still willing to invest in them and have their children. And that really should stop. At the very least, you should stop birthing children into this environment until black men change it. But then, if you were going to wait on them to change the environment and make it safer for your children to thrive in, then you would just never birth children because they're never going to do that. And I think black women know that, and I think that's why they continue to birth children anyway, because they already know this is a failed group of bandits who are not going to do anything. They're not going to make the environment better.
The thing is, it's not about the fact that black men aren't going to make the environment better because you both make the environment bad. Okay, you both create your environment. You both mold this whole situation, this whole problem. It's both of you. It took two to tangle and make this baby. It is not just one person creating this situation, in my opinion. Not having accountability is specifically going to just make the cycle continue. If you're not blaming yourself and your part in this, then you cannot fix your part in it. So, continue.
They're not going to make it safer. They're actually going to make it as unsafe as possible because they simply do not want to be here, especially not living in the black bodies that they are in. But we're going to get into that and more. I do want to give a shout out and thanks to everyone who sends me content. If you want to contribute to the content on this channel, you can do so by emailing me. The email is in the description box and pinned to the comment section. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel. When you do subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell and subscribe to all notifications so you'll know every time I go live and when I upload new content. Now listen, I want to get into the clown shit that is this video from this bandit. He has since deleted it off of his TikTok. And I'm going to come out already and tell you guys, I think this dude is starved for attention and just using this situation to get attention. And of course, bandits are going to give him the attention that he wants because at the end of the day, he's putting out what I believe to be a false narrative that casts what people assume to be black women in a negative light. But if you were to watch his first video where he initially came out and said that he had 7 children by 7 different women, he never disclosed the race of those women. We just assumed that they were black women. And the reason we assume that they're black women is because black women really do have a certain pathology. If a man comes...
No, that's not why. The reason people assume that black women were the ones who had his children were specifically because there's an assumption of a certain specific stereotype. People assume black women have children. People assume black women are baby mamas. People assume black women are ghetto, okay? That's what they assume. They assume that nobody basically marries them. They only have kids out of wedlock. They have multiple kids. They have multiple kids by multiple men. Multiple black men, usually. So that is just usually the assumption on black women. And so when he says he has 7 baby mamas, they assume that they are black baby mamas because that's the stereotype of black women. Now, that's a terrible stereotype, and I must say, as a black woman, it is terrible, honestly. When you are a black woman who doesn't have children, a black woman who specifically, through my early 20s and mid-20s, I was a virgin. And it was really awkward because it was always like black women were expected to be baby mamas who had been having sex at least since 11 years old. And it was like people like me who, 22 and still not having sex, 23, 24, even 25. It was obviously seen in a really weird light because it's like, these people don't even have children. I mean, have children. And, they're, very sexualized individuals. And you're just basically, kind of like seen in a weird light because, you don't fit that stereotype in any respect. You don't fit that assumption in any respect. And it's not seen as an innocent quality, like in other races when you're a virgin at that age, it is seen more respected and more like innocent. But black women, they're not because they are very sexualized, basically. So they're not really seen in that light. They're more seen in a more cheap light. That's just the truth. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean, I'm a black woman. I don't like that that's an assumption, but it is an assumption by other people, And it's by other people within our race and outside of our race, I must admit. And I think that it actually occurs more with black women and black men. They make that assumption on each other because I think they have a lower expectation of black people. And it kind of erases mindset towards black people. Because black people stereotype each other the most. But yeah, anyway, continue.
Up here, despite the fact that he has access to all groups of women and turn all groups of women into baby mamas, if they come up here and say, I have 7 kids by 7 different women, and you automatically assume that they are black, then you obviously agree that black women are the most acceptable to being in this position. And not just because of proximity. Proximity is part of it, but because a lot of black women overlook a lot of flaws in black men. But we know that that's more of an epidemic in our community, more so than anybody else's, and that's why I think that everybody automatically assumed that his baby mamas were black. Because of course, when this situation came out, bandits took this as an opportunity to further degrade black women's image, although it doesn't matter how much you try to villainize black women for being single mothers. At the end of the day, the world knows that you are the one who are creating those single mothers, because you could choose to dedicate yourself to that woman, you could choose to marry her, you could choose to not impregnate women that you don't want to marry.
I do not see single motherhood as the stigma people like to make it out to. I do agree with that. I consider, to me, I see single parenthood as the stigma, basically. So, single father, single mother, they're both the same. There is no, single mother, that's worse. Now, you're both bad, in my opinion. Personally, to me, I do see single fathers as worse for my own personal dating life. I find it insulting if a single father is trying to talk to me or trying to approach me. That's very insulting because you're a single father. You should know your place and understand that you're a single father. You have kids. You made that choice in doing that with your life. So yeah. Anyway, continue.
Or be in committed relationships with. It just is what it is. So if they really had a problem with single mothers and baby mamas or what have you, they would stop creating that situation, but they don't, because at the end of the day, there's no accountability, and no child support is not accountability. But I want you guys to listen to this video where this bandit is sitting here talking about who his baby mamas are, and then I'm going to come back for final commentary.
Hey, let me address something right quick. Why y'all keep thinking my 7 baby mamas are black? I wouldn't f*** a black woman with a hazmat suit on. Why would I want black babies? 9 times out of 10, they're going to be aborted. And 10 out of 10...
That's really weird to me, the part with them being aborted. I just wanted to address. It's weird. I thought he said that he encouraged them to abort. So wouldn't he have actually had it better if he was with a black woman? Because it would have been aborted, right? And I agree. I mean, like, abortion occurs in black women like crazy. I'm not going to defend that, honestly. It's a terrible thing, abortion is like the number one killer, but people like you encourage it, appreciate it. You like your black babies being killed, and I kind of find it weird. If he is with another race of woman, his babies are still going to be black, so that's kind of like weird. Like, you don't have another race because you're basically with someone of another race. That's just odd. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Continue.
That black baby ain't gonna have no married black parents. So why would I even try to procreate with a black woman? You got white women, Asian women, Mexicans, then black. Which one you think I want? I want the top tier, baby. Stop assuming that I got 7 black women pregnant when you don't even know me. Talking about I'm affecting the black community. Y'all got the wrong. And another thing, black women got the most baby daddies. Now, think about that shit. Black women are averaging 1.5 to 2 baby daddy. Why would I want something like that?
Now, you guys listen to that video and listen.
So, first off, the thing is, I kind of find it weird. He's saying specifically that his kids won't have 2-parent families. If he's really focused on that, why did he specifically say he doesn't want to be a father and he's not a father to any of his children? It's like, you're not going to have 2-parent families because you don't choose to be in your children's lives. I don't think he understands that, or something's going on. Like, 2 plus 2 isn't adding up to 4 in his head. Like, obviously, none of your kids are going to have a 2-parent family because you aren't specifically committing to any of the women you were with to have children with. So it's kind of like, what are you talking about there? On the other basis of, what else was he saying? Black women, oh yeah, having baby daddies or whatever. I always find this weird because it's like, how is he going to talk about someone having baby daddies when he has 7 baby mamas? And this is what's annoying to me as a person who doesn't have any children. It's interesting to me when single fathers will have an issue with women who have children or whatever and are single mothers, when it's like, do not look my way, please. Because your place is with the single mother. You have to understand that. Once you are a single father, your place is with the single mother. Your place is not with somebody who actually doesn't have children and has made the right choices in their life. Why should I make good choices in my life and then choose to be with a man who has children? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Why would any single woman want to be with a man who specifically has children? So all my good choices I made in my life go down the drain if I choose to settle with a white single father. And it's like, to me, it's like, why'd he do everything I did if I'm just gonna fuck it up with a guy who specifically is having kids and has kids and is a single father? All his mistakes are gonna be on me now. Because once you get married, you are one. You became one with someone who made all those mistakes in their lives. And you didn't make those mistakes. Why would I want to put on someone else's mistakes into my life? That makes no sense to me. I always get confused about why people have this mentality. And a lot of single fathers have this mentality where they think that they qualify for a woman who doesn't have kids. And it's like, to me, you don't qualify for a woman who doesn't have kids. You don't. How do you qualify for something that you obviously cannot offer yourself? You cannot offer being childless to a woman. So, obviously, if you can't offer that, don't expect that from a woman. You can't expect me to be childless and not have kids and accept your kids. How the fuck am I going to accept your kids? Of course not. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. I said this in my last video. It's about equality to me, but a lot of people don't understand that. Anyway, continue.
I'll say it again, this is just more clown shit. These bandits don't really care about their image at the end of the day. They don't care about anything. And where there's no pride, there is no shame. This is why you can see these bandits doing whatever to get attention, even degrading their own image. Because when a bandit sits in this video here, and I'm going to tell you guys in a minute what stood out to me the most, but when a bandit sits in a video here and he talks about all these negative stereotypes about black women, what he fails to realize is that that's a direct reflection on the behavior of the bandits in the community. One of the things that stood out the most to me, though, is the fact that he said, why would I want to have black babies? How many different...
I agree with that it is a reflection because both sides are the same. Shaniqua is Shaniqua, and Mr. Shaniqua is just Mr. Shaniqua. They're the same thing. They're the same thing. And it's really weird when they don't realize it on either side. It's like, no, you guys are the same. You guys reflect each other. That's all I have to say.
Ways do these bandits have to tell black women that they ain't interested in these black babies? The reality of it is, whether this bandit is trolling for attention or not, this is the attitude and sentiment of these bandits, because when you choose to birth black babies into existence, the majority of them abandon them. Y'all keep sending me videos and articles of bandits
Well, he had kids with people of other races and he abandoned them too. But to me, I think that kind of shadows more on the idea that black men, honestly, if you look at black men, they don't look very nice, and so it kind of makes sense that they wouldn't want to have children that look like them. I don't even understand how some black women act so freaking blind. They act like black men are attractive. And I don't know what they see in them. But I think black men see what everybody else sees, which is very unattractive. And so that's why they specifically do not want to reproduce themselves. I mean, if I look like a black man, I wouldn't want to reproduce and create more children that look like that either. But that's just my opinion.
Tagging their kids and putting them in alligator mouths because they are the original white supremacists. So clearly, they're not only saying it, but they're showing.
The alligator bait is bullshit, by the way. I forgot to mention that in my other video. That's not real. During slavery days and so forth, there was no account of actually a black child actually being used as alligator bait. That's just a myth, basically. But continue.
That they don't really value black babies. And of course, if you are a black person and you despise your own blackness, you don't want to replicate it. This is something that black women refuse to understand about these bandits. He literally explicitly said in this video, why would I want to have black babies? That is a good question. Does anybody have an answer for him other than skin tone? Because I ain't got no answer either. And really, black women haven't provided me a reason why they would even want black babies beyond the black skin tone. And to me, that's just not a reason to procreate. You're not thinking about legacy. You're not thinking about the environment in which you're creating these children in. And another thing I want to point out is this racial...
I really think that many of the time, most black people, I think dark-skinned black people don't really like dark skin on either side. I've seen dark-skinned black women who say crazy things about dark skin, and I've seen dark-skinned black men who say crazy things about dark skin. They both have a negative view on themselves. It seems like they don't really value their skin tone. And of course they don't want their children to look like them because they don't like themselves. It's whatever. I don't really care. I don't have that skin tone anyway. I'm not dark, so... Anyway, continue.
AKA skin tone hierarchy that black men have and perpetuate. If you didn't notice in the video, he was ranking women from least to greatest based on their race. He put women of no color at the top and then black women at the bottom and then two other ethnicities of white in the middle. So at the end of the day...
She's so weird in that way. She starts calling Asian people and Hispanic people white. And it's so weird because it's like, Some Hispanics, especially like Mexicans, and brown Asians, are darker than Cynthia G. So how is a white person darker than you? Like, Cynthia, one, you don't even look like most black women. Two, there many of your lookalikes, as I've analyzed your face several times, are Latinas. And three, your skin tone is, like I said, lighter than a lot of Hispanics and Asians. So if they are white, then you're basically calling yourself white. I'm pretty sure in society, plenty of times people do not think you're even black. They think you're mixed, or they think you're Indian, or mixed with other races. Are you saying that specifically that means you are a mixed race person? Like, no. So, yeah, you're just weird on that regard. Continue.
Listen, whatever black male worshiper can say what she wants to say, and black women can ignore the obvious here, but these bandits have a racial hierarchy that they perpetuate, and it is because they despise their blackness, because you can't put black women at the bottom of the racial hierarchy without putting black men there too, because they come from the womb of black women. So I want to point that out, because this is something that a lot...
There's always that idea with you. The reason you excuse or say, oh, you guys, it's not that bad because black men, you're down here with us too. It's always so stupid. That's why you always come up with that whole term throwback and everything. And it's like, you don't mind defaming yourself as long as you can convince a black man that they're inferior to. That's a crabs in a bucket situation.
A lot of black women fail to realize, and if they're creating a racial hierarchy with women of no color at the top and black women at the bottom, then that right there by default means they would also place black babies at the bottom, which is why this dude is sitting in here talking about why would he want black babies. Another thing that black women are ignoring. And see, they come out and tell black women over and over and over how they feel about their own blackness and how they feel about their black offspring, but at this point black women are either just refusing to acknowledge it or they don't care, and that's why they continue to create these children despite the fact that bandits are abandoning them and toe tagging them. And really, you can assume that maybe on a subconscious level he is thinking about everything, and really it's on a conscious level. Look at what he's talking about. He's saying that they're going to get aborted 9 times out of 10, but that's clearly not true, because if that was the case, we wouldn't be looking at this bandit right here. Somebody maybe should have got an abortion, but didn't.
9 times out of 10 means 1 time out of 10 somebody's born.
But nonetheless, look at what he's talking about. They're not going to grow up with 2 parents. Their parents aren't going to be married. They're going to be in this system. So at the end of the day, he seems to be more aware of the environment in which black women are birthing these children than black women are. But this is where we have to call dum-dum on this situation. Who controls marriage? Bandits do. Within our community, men do in general, but the bandits within our community, they control marriage. So if they wanted there to be more intact families and a higher marriage rate, that's something that they can change, because you do have a lot of black women who are now proposing to...
Not really true. I mean, like, for me, I'm not interested in black men. If all black men wanted to marry me, it wouldn't change anything because I'd reject them all. And it doesn't matter how much they make. It doesn't matter how nice they are. I'm just never going to choose a black man. So it's like, to me, like when you guys talk about, oh, they control marriage and stuff, I don't really see it that way. I think main reason I don't see it that way is because black men aren't the majority of men. So they don't exist as the main men that women have as an option. They're the minority men. They're a small percentage of men. They're 1 out of 8 men. You know? There's 7 other men to choose from. You know? And personally, for me, I'm just not attracted to black men, as I've already expressed. But I would say for black women in general, I don't really feel that black women are beholden, or like black men are beholden to black women, or black women are beholden to black men. Like, to me, I think like we all have free will out here, and we have every right to be with whoever we want to be with. Continue though.
Black men, but that's not increasing the rate of marriage, though. So the problem here is that you will have bandits talking about single motherhood and baby mamas and low marriage rates and non-intact families or broken families without understanding that they are the cause of it. They're the reason why the marriage rate is not increasing, and it's not increasing among their preferences either, both foreign or domestic, because a lot of women already know better than to get themselves legally tied to one of these bandits. Black women want to, but all other groups of women already know that these bandits are a kink. You get your rocks off, or you lick them like the dumb suckers that they are, and you keep it pushing. Now, do some of them end up struggle baby mamas to these struggle bandits? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, the overall consensus among most women is that these bandits are not marriage material. The bottom line is this bandit came on here wanting to degrade Black women. But let me point this out for y'all in case y'all didn't catch it. This bandit in here,
I don't feel he degraded Black women here, because it's kind of like, well, he's saying that he's basically a curse to women, right? So then how can that be degrading to Black women that he does not include Black women? And specifically, he said that he specifically said he did not make any Black woman a single mother, which kind of seemed like he was saying, like, he didn't do anything wrong to any Black women. No, I guess to some people he did wrong by Black women by not having sex with them, but he's not obligated to do that. Anyway, continue.
Set up here and said, why would he want to have Black babies with a Black woman when he can get the cream of the crop women? There's women of no color, there's Mexicans. But this bandit is sitting in this video talking about his 7 baby mamas are not Black, that they're his preferences. But I want you guys to listen to his original video on how he described the women that he...
To me, I think people should have a right to have their preference. If someone thinks white women are their favorite, then that's their thing. You know, I do think that some people, it depends on the individual, though. Some people prefer different things. Like, I think some people think, like, when you have white people who are your preference, that means you think that they're better people, and it could mean that you just think that white people are better looking than maybe another type of people. Like, as a lighter-skinned Black woman myself, I just find that dark-skinned Black men look very different, and you look at, for example, dark-skinned Black men, and you look at white men, and for me, color-wise, the distance is equal. It's not like dark-skinned people are closer to my color. So phenotypically, to me, it's just like, well, dark-skinned Black people are very different from me, and white people are very different from me. White people are the majority out of society. Who we mainly see, we see mostly white faces. So we see mostly white attractive people. So who we're going to be more partial to in phenotype is going to be white people, especially if you are not dark skinned and you do not have their features. Then you're not going to be very partial to their features because you don't see them often. You don't have their features. So why should you prefer them? Kind of thing. That doesn't mean you think that white people are better than everybody else or better than you. You may think your phenotype is better than white people's. You're just saying between these two populations, between dark-skinned Black people and white people, I prefer white people. And I personally do have that idea. If I were to compare white people to Asian people, I would say I would prefer white people again. Because Asian people have they have very different faces and different facial features than I do. Their faces are very different from mine. So because of that, when I was young, I used to stare at Asian people. Now, when I was young, I didn't stare at dark-skinned people as much as I stared at Asian people because I was taught to tolerate dark-skinned Black people. And also, I did think some things were different about dark-skinned Black people. But, Asian people, I wasn't taught to tolerate them in any regard. So to me, it was just like they're very different, and I would stare at them a lot because it was like very different of a phenotype, right? So it doesn't mean that I hate Asian people. It doesn't even mean that I think white people are better than Asian people. In fact, I've argued with racist people before, and I've used statistics of Asians to prove certain things. So I obviously don't think Asian people are less than white people when it comes to them as people. But I do, think physically I prefer one phenotype over the other. So, specifically saying that you prefer white women over black women does not mean you think black women as people are bad people. Just like it doesn't mean that I think black men as people are bad people, or Asian people as people, Asian women or Asian men are bad people. So, anyway, continue.
Chose to impregnate.
Another thing is, these just jump offs. These are the type of women that I ain't even had to do nothing for. The bare minimum, but they gave me access to their body, and they think I want to be a father to a child for one of them? Like, I don't even have no type of love for these women. How do they expect me to love these children?
Now, you guys heard that little piece of the video.
Some people are like this too. They're like, I would consider them broken because it's like, how come you can't realize it's your child, but they perceive children they have as the other person's child? It's like their lack of ability to take accountability and responsibility for their own children because they have some kind of mental defect where they see their children as the person they had a child with, but not their own child. It's something like that's disconnecting in their brains, basically. Anyway,
from his original video, and first of all, he's calling them jump offs. He's talking about how easy they are, how they have low standards, no expectations or boundaries. But yet, in this video now, he's talking about he wouldn't have a child with a black woman because he have all these cream of the crop women that he can be with. Well, if your children are not black women, the way that you described these women who are your baby mamas would not qualify them as cream of the crop. It would actually qualify them as throwbacks. And we know that y'all are only able to get second-rate throwbacks because at the end of the day, no woman who is not black, who is of quality, would be interested in this bandit. So in one video...
If no woman of quality would want to be with him, then how come you're saying that, not with him specifically, but like with black men? Because you've said this before. I don't understand why black women like this will be with black men and say no woman of quality of another race would want to be with a black man and then choose to be with a black man. What you are saying is that you are a woman of no quality. This is obvious. Anyone with a high enough IQ can understand that if you say that no woman of quality will choose a black man and then you choose a black man, then you obviously have implied that you are a woman of no quality. And this was going to be regardless of race. You can't say just because you're black, it absolves you from being a person of no quality. Because you are a black woman, you can choose to be with people outside of your race if you wanted to. But you have resigned yourself to being a woman of no quality because you basically imply that anyone who chooses a black man is a woman of no quality. I say this as a woman who has never chosen a black man. So, I mean, like, if I could live by that idea. I just don't personally think that's the case. And I do think it does backfire on women who are, into only men outside of their race because it's bad because you eventually have some connection to black men. Be it even if your father isn't black, maybe your father doesn't look like the stereotypical black man. You still have maybe a grandfather who's like that, maybe a half uncle that's like that, a cousin, so forth. Somewhere down your line, you have a black man in your lineage, And so to me, it's like, to me, I would not want to imply that on myself, because what does that mean? That means that basically my family, which comes from black men at some point, was influenced by a person who was of low value. So then that means that my family would be a low value family. And then the cycle would continue from there. Why would I want to implicate myself into that when I could just leave that alone? You know, I don't have to choose to be with black men, and I can still not try to talk about black men in that regard, because if I do, it's just going to put dirt on me. You know, I don't want to just put dirt on myself for being black like that. It's kind of self-deprecating. Continue.
You got him literally sitting up here talking about these women are jump offs, they were easy, they're not quality women. He wouldn't want to settle down with them, obviously, if you turned all of them into baby mamas. But then he comes back in this video saying, oh, well, none of my baby mamas are black, and why would I get with a black woman when I can get the cream of the crop women? So you took some cream of the crop women and turned them into baby mamas and referred to them in your original video as jump offs? Unworthy of your commitment, and women that you're blocking who don't have access to you because they gave birth to your children. If these women exist, because now I'm starting to think this bandit don't got 7 kids by 7 baby mamas, he's just doing this for attention. I came to that conclusion when he was on his Dusty World Tour, because at the end of the day, he set up on multiple different panels with multiple different people who were literally referring to his baby mamas as black, and he didn't correct any of them. So then why would you come out and put out a video and say, well, none of my baby mamas are black?
Well, I think maybe the main reason he may have just left it alone is because people do get harassed because of their racial preference. So sometimes you don't say the racial background of someone you're involved with, especially if you're showing your face, you know. Or if you do, you might try and imply that you're both the same race on one level or another. So you'll either say, maybe you'll try and say that the person's black, or you'll try and say that you're both white, or however way you can do it, basically. You know, when you're in interracial situations and talking about your interracial relationships, you don't want to always bring that up, because people go crazy just because they don't like the color of woman or man you chose, you know. And you don't want to have that fight when you're just trying to have a conversation about something completely different from what race you want to be with. So I do not really hold that against them, because I mean, like, that happens. I understand that. That's relatable, honestly, personally, for me.
And I wouldn't F a black woman with a hazmat suit on. This dude at this point is up here starved for attention. And I told y'all that because these bandits don't have any intellect, they don't have...
No, that's not specifically, I don't think, starving for attention saying that. I mean, many people don't want to be with people of their own race. Like, personally, for me, I can definitely relate to that, because I wouldn't want to have sex with a black man with a hazmat suit on either. But it's not just the hazmat suit. I don't like looking at black men specifically. Like, sexually, I would not want to. I've said this before. I've watched porn, and for me, I watch gay porn. I like to watch gay porn. I usually watch a specific model, you know, porn actress, and so forth. And actor, not actress, but you get what I'm saying. But for me, I tend to watch, you know, a specific porn actor. Sometimes, you know, it's happened to me in the past where I would be watching a specific actor and they would have a scene where they're with a black man or whatever, and you know, that would be uncomfortable to me. I can't get off, obviously, watching something like that. But it's not just that. Of course it kills my mood, but it's also just gross for me, you know. And that's just how some people are. You know, if I see an Asian man, it would be the same way. I can't look at people who I'm not attracted to. Also, if I see women, yeah, that kills the mood too. Women, it's different. It's almost like seeing an animal or seeing a child or something. Like something that's so completely, you know, it's got no physical attraction to it, basically. But that can apply to black men as well. To me, I mean, like, that's not wrong that you find certain people not physically attractive. Everyone has a type. The problem is that we need to get past the idea that we're telling people who they should be attracted to. We shouldn't be telling black men they should be attracted to black women. We shouldn't be telling black women that they should be attracted to black men. Who we're attracted to is specifically our personal business. We don't need to be dictated and told who we should be attracted to. It's our personal business, personal lives.
Any real talent, they sit up here and do weird stuff for attention. Like this dude really sat up here and concocted a story so that he can go viral. And now because his 15 minutes of fame ended, he wants to come out again and put out another video contradicting his first video. And I'm not saying that he contradicted his first video because he labeled his baby mamas as black. I'm saying that he contradicted his first video because in the first video, he's calling these women jump off. And now when he comes back in the second video, all of a sudden they're the cream of the crop women, then why are they baby mamas? Why are they not wives? And I get that you can't have more than one wife here, but you already know that black men will try to create this janky scenario of polygamy. So why don't you just have...
Well, that's not true. He said specifically that he doesn't even want to be a father, and he's not in any of those 7 women's children's lives. So, because of that, you can tell that he wanted nothing to do with those children. I don't think he wants children. He kind of specifically said that he didn't want to be a father, regardless. So, I mean, yeah, I just kind of feel like that's already been answered. But yeah, that's basically all I feel about this situation. I kind of feel like the two videos definitely do contradict each other in situations when it comes to how he's specifically saying in one video that his women were basically women who he didn't want to have children with, that he didn't want to be a father, he tried to encourage them to have abortions, and then to say in the next one like that he was looking to possibly have children that were specifically raised in 2-parent families, while saying he didn't want to be a father to the children he had. I mean, it's pretty much telling you a story that is obviously contradicting itself. So that's all I have to say in this video. I do not believe in blaming just black men for the problems, but I don't also think that we should just blame black women. It's kind of like the whole situation when people complain about certain types of black people's predicament is honestly contributed by both sides. So that's all I have to say in this video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and comment down below. Have a great day. Bye.